The Arizona Cardinals' first team offense and defense, actually their starters, not going to go in preseason week 2. What's your confidence meter in Kyler Murray in the first team offense? Johnny Venerable, how you feeling about it?
I'm doing well. We're back from Denver. We're here in our home base of Phoenix, and we've got some takes. Hammer that like. PHNX Cardinals starts now. Hey, welcome in. Live from Studio K, presented by our friends at Circle K. Yes, we're back on a nifty little football Friday. It's the PHNX Cardinals podcast, your premier Arizona Cardinal podcast. Like and subscribe. Leave us a 5-star wherever you get your programming. I'm Johnny Venerable. He is Brack. No, man, we're all safe and sound back en route from Denver, Colorado. The entirety of the rest of the office moving today. But your boys are here to talk a little Cardinal football. Bo Brock, how we living? How you doing? Getting back on old AZ time.
Yeah, getting a little below sea level, right? We're not at mile high status any longer, but doing well, right? Easy travel day for your boys. Maybe a third of the gang went out last night until the wee hours of the morning, while the other responsible ones went to bed at a reasonable hour, and but still had a good time out there in Denver. Thank you to everybody who followed along. Thank you for the kind words that we've received in the last 24 hours. It's always humbling. What's going on, Mr. Fat Gangster? Brian A. How about MP is in the chat? How we doing? We got our guy Shaft, Jason, Math to the power of Joe, Jason, Riley, Cards fan Nate. How you doing, my guy? And Dad's drinking again. No, that's the chat name. Everybody, I hope you're having a great little Friday. Going into the weekend, going into preseason week 2, Johnny.
Yeah, again, hammer that like button. We appreciate everybody here. It's a sleepy little Friday, but we wanted to make sure we got our Bronco game preview in, even though that will be sans starters. We're going to get into that. Who has the most to prove? Not named maybe like, I don't know, Clayton Tuning Company. We're going to be breaking it all down. But first, Bo and I, we've had a chance to watch this offense, Kyler Murray, operate for, upwards of, it feels like camp has been going on forever, but really they only started revving things up about 3 weeks ago, right? So we've seen 3 weeks of Kyler Murray 2025. And, this offense has done some good things, and we're going to talk about it. But we're also sitting here in a place where we're not going to see, unless they pull a fast one against the Raiders, which we don't expect, we're not going to see the starting unit on either side of the ball until week 1 at New Orleans. And specifically for this offense that has so much pressure on it, minimal changes of personnel, same quarterback, same play caller, defense looks fantastic, personnel upgrades left and right. Like, give me your comfort level in the chat with Kyler Murray entering week 1, because I think right now it is a point of contention. Bo, you and I feel it within the Valley.
Well, yeah, we had our discussion in post joint practice yesterday, and people wanted to make it all about Kyler Murray and what the reports were saying. Obviously, you couldn't see a whole lot of the performance because of the restrictions that are levied by the Denver Broncos organization. You can only really see Kyler warm up and then rely upon reports from guys like Johnny and myself and Dale Mackey and Josh Weinfuss and Darren Urban, who were boots on the ground there. And, for the most part, we reported was Trey McBride was dominant. Kyler Murray, I think there were some passes that he wanted to have back. I think Theo of AZ Central kept, statistics. Even though J.J. Watt said, practice statistics are meaningless. You look at it, and he's just about 50%. There wasn't, there was some good series, there was bad series, and people came away with kind of an uneven performance. And I think a lot of people wanted at some point this preseason training camp to have one of those Kyler Murray, vintage performances where, I don't know if you're really ever going to get that if you're going to rely upon, before the games to start to get that because of what's in the works and and the offense trying to iron things out. So, I think that's where the uneasiness comes. I think there's a couple benchmarks throughout this season, Johnny, as you prepare for the regular season that you get, right? And we haven't seen Kyler Murray since the 2021 preseason. We got a glimpse. It was 2 series and one had an interception. Yeah. And the other was going up against what's supposed to be, if not the top defense in the league, going to be one of the top 5 defenses in the league. And people are saying, oh no, should we be concerned about this? Where I'm trying to kind of lock in my meter here. And if I'm using 50% of this thing, if I'm looking at the gauge and 50% is just game manager, I think he's just an uptick past that game manager status still. 2 series in the preseason and a joint practice shouldn't change people's opinion, in my opinion.
Would we rather be sitting here and saying Kyler Murray's having the kind of preseason, training camp that, Marv's had at times where it's just it's blowing you away? But again, I don't know how realistic that is. I want to highlight this comment from Jalen Blair, friend of the program, comments a lot. We appreciate your engagement, Jalen. Am I the only one that feels like you can't really take away much from training camp preseason because you don't know what they're trying to accomplish? I think there's some truth to that. But I also look at yesterday, for instance, we're at joint practice with the Denver Broncos and the Arizona Cardinals. And there are still a lot of disconnect or refinement needed with Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison Jr. And you would have hoped that, we could have ended that joint practice yesterday with a play or 2 from Kyler to Marv that would have ended in 6, right? Your number 1 receiver, 4th overall pick. And Marvin got his, absolutely. But, there's a play in particular I'm thinking of where Marvin, and I outlined it on yesterday's show, had a step on not Patrick Surtain, but their other outside corner who's excellent. And Kyler Murray just missed him in the end zone. And it's those are the kind of plays where if this team is going to go from 8-9 wins to winning the NFC West, you have to hit those, right? And so to me, I think I'm with you. I don't think that he's a liability. I don't think that he is backup. I don't think he's an average player, but I'm waiting for kind of it to all gel together. And maybe you're right. Yeah. Maybe we just have to wait until the regular season, but I'm not going to sit here and evaluate Kyler Murray on, the 7 or 8 training camp practices I had, which were mostly good to great. Yeah. The Kansas City Chiefs and the Denver Broncos have real players defensively, and the Cardinals, listen, the Cardinals weren't inept offensively. They moved the football. They are still, in my opinion, a team that struggles mightily in the red zone. They have a really tough time.
Love this, that really kind of find themselves, out of that. And especially with how the season ended. I'm not naive to that. I'm not discounting that at all. I mean, I know the results. I know post by 2-5, and then you saw some crucial mistakes from your franchise quarterback. Yeah. And they want to see that all kind of worked out, especially with the team doubling in the quarterback situation, maybe tripling down on this offense. But, if you're getting answers at this point in the season, it being the preseason, you should take them with a grain of salt, no matter what kind of thing. How often do you see it? People make the joke on social media. It's I'm not going to overreact to, preseason stats. I'm not going to overreact to training camp clips. I think, you have to take a little bit into consideration, what you've seen, what you hear from Kyler Murray, who says he's feeling really comfortable out there, what you're hearing from his head coach, what you're hearing from his play caller, what you're hearing from, his teammates. When you look at yesterday's practice and you saw it and, you saw the good, you saw the bad, and then you heard Trey McBride talk about it. And of course, Trey McBride, who was dominant at times, probably the most dominant performance, I think the Broncos defense has seen in a long time. And they faced the likes of Brock Bowers, faced the likes of George Kittle most recently in a joint practice. And Trey McBride, I think a lot of them what the hell was that? Where did 85 come from? So, right. There is that. So I think Kyler Murray right now, you can continue to say he's anywhere from, the 12th best quarter to 16th best quarterback. And, you're going to get, at the very least, somebody's going to be able to operate and manage the game. And then what we've seen consistently, I guess inconsistently, is 4 to 5 pop games. But can he elevate that? That's what people want to see. Because if he elevates that and he does it over 8 to 12 games, Cardinals are going to be a big time player in this NFC West. So, he's still got the game manager status, like I would say glorified game manager status, and hasn't regressed from there. I think that's the biggest concern. The latter, has there been a regression? But I think he still has the skill set to take his game and the Cards game to the next level.
Yeah, I don't think he's regressed. I think we're seeing him. I mean, since he's come back from injury, he's still got a 2-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio, right? I mean, that's not going away. I think you would sign up for Kyler Murray every Sunday with the team that's constructed, 250 yards passing, 2 passing touchdowns. With what the Cardinals are going to be able to do defensively and on the ground, both with K1 and James Conner and Trey Benson, like, to me, that is what you would sign up for. I don't know if those numbers are a sure thing this fall. Not every Sunday. And again, if I felt like this offense could have like a good series, bad series kind of thing, but it's almost like they operate in such a way where it's like you see a nice series of plays strung together, and they are so rarely able to finish it strong. And that to me is the biggest concern. Like we saw yesterday, Kyler Murray had a couple drives against the Broncos that were outstanding. He's nickel and diming them. He's moving well in the pocket. He's elusive. I put it in my article, go PHNX.com. His arm strength looks good, but they would get inside the 15 like last year, and it's like incompletion, a run for 2 or 3 yards. And then they ran a screen to Greg Dortch when they lost yardage after a penalty. It looked like it was like the same thing I saw last year. So while I know people are critical, there were people on the sideline nationally that were frustrated, not with the Cardinals. They were just giving their unbiased opinion that there were throws to be made that weren't being made to Marvin Harrison Jr. And I'm not going to signify who that was, but it's hard to ignore that. There are going to be times this year where Marv is open. He's got to hit those throws. I think he will. I think that, again, we use the barometer of that's the best defense in the NFL that we saw yesterday. It was the best defense in football last year. Maybe they go on a run to begin this year because they've tuned up the band, for lack of a better term, against New Orleans and against Denver and against Kansas City. But I want to bring up this super chat from Jalen Blair, because this is early in the show. We typically don't do super chats this early, but it's very topical. Thank you, Jalen. $5. Johnny, you think they were better at joint practice last year versus Indy? So I'm going to defer to my co-host, who was in Indianapolis last year. And I mean, let's just contextualize it from not only Indy, but like Kyler Murray in the preseason and training camp last year. Was he better or about the same?
I would say he was better. I think the overall performance from the Cardinals as a team in joint practice was better yesterday. You had some highlights where I think you really had you had to find reasons to be optimistic, because you didn't really know what you were going to see,
right,
and how it was going to translate. Like when Dame and I were out there in the suburbs of Indianapolis last year, I think you could firmly say the Colts outperformed the Cardinals, where I think, Bo Nix had a great performance yesterday, and there were times where the Broncos defense were good, but you had your highlight moments from the Cardinals, and you saw moments where this team showed that it's going to be, in the thick of things. So I think it absolutely has progressed since the joint practice in Indy last year.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think, man, I don't know what the end result is going to look like. I think Kyler Murray is not just going to become some turnover quarterback. I know that, but you also have to wonder, until they feel more comfortable, are they just going to rein this in? Are they going to be like, well, we can hold teams to under 20 points per game potentially, and we can run the football for 150 yards? I just, right now, for me, my confidence level is probably about a 6.5. I think is where I'm at with not just Kyler Murray, but this passing game. Kyler Murray is the passing game. The passing game to me, when you look at the offseason and how this team was challenged to be better in that section, I think you're going to get improved production from Marvin Harrison Jr. unequivocally. Yeah. I mean, I'd be hard pressed to say everything else is going to look the same, at least from what I've seen right now. And again, I could be wrong. I think, but is that enough to get you 10, 11, 12 wins? Can
Right.
Marv going from right under 900 yards to 1,200 yards and making big plays and scoring a couple more touchdowns? Certainly Trey could score more touchdowns. Like that could elevate Kyler Murray's numbers. Absolutely. But like, why? And again, this is unfair because it's Sean Payton and they're doing completely different stuff. But the passing game for the Broncos looks so much more polished and just vibe. They just know what they're doing. And Bo Nix, we talked to people. Everybody said he had his best day yesterday, maybe of camp. So maybe it's just a coincidence. I know he had a tough week a week ago, and so Sean Payton probably challenged him, and he rose to the challenge. I think we were hoping that we could go into the regular season and there could be not a signature performance, but there'd be a day where like you ramp up the intensity against the Broncos or the Chiefs, and you're like, man, Kyler Murray looked awesome that drive, or the passing game looked on point. We're just going to have to take them at face value that they're happy with it.
Yeah, I mean, I think people, the expectations of an improved passing game, like everybody turns to, some of the more prolific passing attacks in the league. And sometimes, like, even though your mind instantly goes there, you think about, Kurt Warner in his heyday here, tossing the bill around and having 3,000-yard receivers, and Carson Palmer being an MVP candidate, throwing for 35 touchdowns. It's like, with Drew Petzing, can Drew Petzing, play called offense really, would he ever let it get there because of his will, his want to emphasize and establish the run? Is that their identity? Is that something Jonathan Gannon wants? It's fun, right? It's really fun to watch each and every Sunday, but is it in reality going to be okay? Is this offense going to be more consistent? Is it going to include, as they've said, like emphasize, driving the ball downfield, but still have like its pillars where it's run the football, establish the run, utilize your tight ends, and then also like, okay, incorporate Marv just a little bit more. And then like you're saying, like if his game elevates just the slightest bit, and you see this, where Kyler Murray's averaging like 226 passing yards, the average is like 235, and Marv, has 1,200 yards instead of 900 yards. Like it's not going to be like this passing attack still that people covet week in and week out that are thrown for 300 yards a game.
The biggest kind of question mark that has Cardinal fans scratching their head, at least like from my perspective, getting DMs and talking with people, is like, this is not Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers toward the end of their career where their arm strength isn't what it was. And it's not like you took a prospect in the draft and they can't stretch the field vertically, so you tailor an offense around their skill set, right? Even like people question Bo Nix's arm coming out. And the hardest part, I think, for Cardinal fans is that are Kyler Murray supporters, we're Kyler Murray supporters, is that we have seen Kyler Murray be a prolific passer just a couple of years ago, pre the injury, and then obviously the regime change where he could throw the ball better than anybody, down the field vertically. His accuracy was on point. He threw a Hail Mary, for God's sakes. So it's like, okay, well, what's missing then? If it's not the scheme and the players, then they're going to have to answer for that, because they went into this offseason saying, we believe in the players, we believe in the coordinator, we believe in the signal caller, then it has to be better. And like unequivocally, we're sitting here. I don't know how much better it's going to be. I think the team's going to be a hell of a lot better. I think the schedule is hell of a lot easier. But I have major question marks about a team that was among the worst, if not the worst, in big explosive passing plays, making a jump. That jump is going to have to come from number 18 and almost number 18 alone. And I love Michael Wilson. I love Greg Dortch. I love these players that have high-end skill sets. This offense, I don't know, man. There are just, I think, a lot of unanswered questions that, fair enough, we have to wait till the regular season to have answered.
But I honestly like it to ask everybody to kind of look around the league, right, and look at the fan bases that they want a jump or feel like they need a jump from their offense to go where they want to go. I just take Bo Nix and the Broncos into account here, just because of what we witnessed yesterday, and what Matt Wilson was saying. like Bo Nix was terrible in the preseason game against the 49ers a week ago. And like, he had a good showing yesterday. Like, but how do Broncos fans, like, how do they kind of take the good performance, the bad performance, and what do they come to? You know, is he going to have a big year in year two? I don't think you can definitively say either one of those things.
I'm still big time believer in Kyler Murray, and you see him with his teammates and you see how he, carries himself. And the unfortunate part is if this starts to snowball and he's not able to kind of reconfigure himself as a passer that leads to robust statistics and most importantly wins, then people are going to latch on to all the tired narratives that are worn out. I don't want to hear about leadership. I don't want to hear about size. Like, those aren't things that are holding him back. What's holding back this passing game? I think that remains to be seen. We're going to do a definitive breakdown of our Denver Bronco preview. Who's playing? Who has the most to prove? Plus your super chats. Hit that like button. It's PHNX on a Friday. Speaking of Friday, how about a weekend in October? It's NASCAR Championship Weekend, October 31st through November 2nd at Phoenix Raceway. You've been waiting long enough here in Phoenix, and when it comes to sporting events, big-time sporting events, very few cities do it better. But if you've never experienced NASCAR Championship Weekend at Phoenix Raceway, you are missing out. This is, again, a sport that you have to experience in person. Nothing can match the sound of roaring cars, 200 miles an hour, witnessing 4 championships crowned in 3 days. Absolutely electric. And again, get access, the best access in all of sports with a NASCAR ticket. Small upgrade. You're in the Desert Diamond Casino infield experience, up close in the garage, meeting drivers, walking the track, catching the pre-race concert. It's the best value in sports, hands down. And to make things even better, it all goes down at the Phoenix Raceway, one of the best tracks on the NASCAR unit. The state-of-the-art venue set against the stunning backdrop of the Estrella Mountains is the perfect place to host NASCAR Championship Weekend. After a grueling season that started back in February, it all comes down to this: a weekend of pure adrenaline where legends are made. Don't miss your chance to witness NASCAR Championship Weekend in person. Coming to the Phoenix Raceway October 31st through November 2nd. Tickets for Sunday's Cup Series Championship race sell out every year, so move fast to get yours now before they're gone. Here's the kicker: NASCAR's taking championship weekend on the road in 2026. So this is your last chance to catch it in Phoenix for a good long while. Tickets, hospitality, and upgrades are available. Get yours now. Check out the link in the show notes for more details.
When we were out there at joint practice, we noticed what we've been noticing a lot. Big trend. Brandon Bills hats everywhere. Brandon Bills, of course, premium headwear and apparel. You can save 10% off your first order just by being a listener or viewer of PHNX. Use the code BBPHNX and you can upgrade your brand right now with Brandon Bills, whether it's your co-ed softball team, maybe your kid's little league team, or maybe it's your company. You can check in with some fitteds. How about some truckers, beanies, or tees? Brandon Bills has you covered with performance and style. We take a lot of pride with our partnership with Brandon Bills because they take pride in how you look with the hats and the apparel that they provide. And it looks so clean, so nice. It's great. We got a glimpse at maybe some good things coming down the road as well with some Brandon Bills. You can already see Johnny and I repping them hard. Both of us rolling with some BB hats. You should roll with them as well and save money while you're doing so. How about BBPHNX is the code you can use at checkout for 15% off your first order. Head over to BrandonBills.com and use that code BBPHNX for 15% off your order with Brandon Bills at BrandonBills.com.
Do us a favor, hit that like button on a Football Friday. We appreciate everybody being here, taking time out of your busy schedule to join us. And, of course, subscribe to PHNX Sports on YouTube as we continue the conversation ahead of this weekend. Denver Broncos taking on the Arizona Cardinals. I do want to kind of ask one more question to my co-host here because it was posed to me before the show with regard to Kyler Murray. Because, again, we're going to talk about this ad nauseum, and he's the quarterback, and he's the most important player on the team, the most polarizing at times. Do you think Kyler Murray is a good fit for Drew Petzing's offense? We're going through now. This is his second training camp healthy, his third total with this coaching staff. Is there a possibility that he's just a better fit in terms of the explosives with what they did with Cliff Kingsbury? Is that crazy to suggest?
I mean, look, he played in a Cliff Kingsbury style offense his entire life, primarily from the shotgun. But then we're seeing progression, development, maturation, playing under center. Like I said last week, he was a top 10 quarterback under center in the NFL. It really kind of bodes well for him. And I think establishing a run game, it helps any quarterback. I think that this is a bit kind of like retrofit to Kyler Murray's game. So like if he's not gonna work in this system, or maybe you just kind of have to like tweak what your expectations are. And I think Jonathan Gannon, Drew Petzing, and Kyler Murray really like this system for K1. And year 3, it's going to be a big prove it, I think, for a lot of people who are skeptical about it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I do think that there are positives to Kyler Murray in this offense. I think it keeps him upright. I think it allows him to make quick decisions. I think it keeps him healthy. And again, like, can we just close the gap a little bit with explosives where this offense doesn't have to be top 10 throwing the football because the run game is so dominant. And that's another coup. Cliff Kingsbury's offense could not run the football like this. But can you go from 18th, 19th throwing the football to 12, 13? That's what they need this year, right? That's the kind of incremental improvements. Jalen Blair asking, do they have the right wide receivers to run the system? I mean, like, Jalen, I can only tell you, like I've seen with my eyes, like, players are getting open at times, right? But again, like, what's the protection look like? Is that the primary read at times? I don't know. I think that Kyler Murray could absolutely benefit from another deep threat. And I think that maybe in hindsight was a mistake not to have.
Mm-hmm.
Only the season will tell. But like, Marvin was open yesterday and they couldn't get it going at times. Like, why is that still happening, right? Again, is that happening because it's Denver? Is that going to happen in New Orleans? I'm just giving you observations. Both saw it too. It's like Marvin had a step once, 2 or 3 times toward the end of that scrimmage, and they couldn't connect. And it's like, guys, why is this still happening? Yeah. That's my only concern, because I know he can 70% completion, 3,800 yards, efficient, not turning the ball over. And that might get you to the wild card. Yeah. But like, this team is ready to win the NFC West. We talked to people on the sideline. They think the Cardinals can be a firm playoff team and host playoff games with the talent they have.
Yeah, I mean, and it's not just relying on the offense, right? It plays a big part of that as far as where they want to go. But this is going to be a team that's going to try to play, a lot better on the defensive side, and it also is going to, as we said, like, they run the football a ton here. And I think the big thing too is, like, they're just going to have to show, improvement. Like, I think you can kind of just away what we know through 2 seasons under Petzing, under Gannon, as far as the offensive side of the football. Like, should you ever expect, like, this is going to be a top 5 group that's going to come out and just blow the doors off opposing defenses week in and week out?
Yeah.
Or they're just going to be an offense that has, some big play caliber guys, and hopefully it shows up a lot more than it did, especially in the passing game. Like, I think what people really need to see, I think what really needs to happen, and this isn't just, on the throwing arm and the legs of Kyler Murray, is that this team come out and produce back-to-back strong performances offensively, and do it just at a more consistent clip. Because if you look at the numbers, like anywhere from like 13, 12, 11th ranked offense in most major statistical categories. I know you want to see an uptick in the passing stats, but like if Marv and Kyler and then Trey McBride continues his momentum, the passing attack has, the ability to elevate this offense to be inside the top 10. And like, would you sign up for that? I think a lot of people would. I think also a lot of people, you can make the case like they want a higher ceiling offensively, because when they look at the personnel and the skill set.
I mean, like, the 2 players you just mentioned, Trey McBride is the best tight end in the NFL. I don't watch Brock Bowers regularly. George Kittle's over 30 years old. Travis Kelce's semi-washed. Like, the best tight end in the NFL was in Denver, Colorado yesterday, tearing apart the Denver Broncos. That Trey McBride should have 10 double-digit touchdowns.
Yeah.
Marvin Harrison Jr. should have double-digit touchdowns. By that math alone, that's 20 touchdowns for Kyler Murray for 2 players.
Yeah.
I mean, like, Trey McBride's on a trajectory where if things continue, he's going to be a Hall of Fame caliber player. And Marvin Harrison Jr., with the inaccuracies and the miscommunication and the rookie wall and all last year, had 8 touchdowns. Those two players should net you 20 touchdowns a year. And then you pepper in Michael Wilson, Greg Dortch, Higgy Bear, James Conner out of the backfield. You should be able to find like 6 to 8 more passing touchdowns minimum. And I think that again, when we talk about, is this a bad scheme for wide receivers or not? I don't think they care. I think they know that they have the personnel to win and to dominate offensively. It's time for us to see that now.
Yeah.
It's time for us to go into Sundays and say, we have Kyler, Marvin, Trey. You don't. And we're going to overwhelm you with these 3 players and James Conner.
Yeah.
Like that should be enough. 6, 1885, number 1 should be enough on the surface to win the NFC West. And if it's not, it's a shame on everybody involved.
Let's put a number though in place. Let's put a numerical number on it though. And I think you can get away from maybe the Kyler performance and look at Marv, because this is a stat that you've highlighted many times. In the 35 games under Drew Petzing, you've got how many 100-yard performances from your wide receivers? Two. How many does Marvin Harrison Jr., how many wide receiver 100-yard performances do you need to see to feel a little bit more comfortable about this in the 17 games this season?
I think 2 to 7 probably. I think we need like minimum 7.
7. Yeah. Okay.
Is that a lot?
I think that's a lot, but I have to got to take inventory of.
I mean, he had a couple games last year where it was like 60, 70.
Especially with Trey being incorporated in the equation. Like, I don't think that's unfair. That's not like astronomical. Like, I think if you look at a lot of the great receivers, like I'm sure Jamar Chase, like how many 100-yard receiving games did he have? And we're not asking Marv to be Jamar Chase, but you want Jamar Chase light, in year 2. I
mean, last year he had a 96-yard game. He had a 64-yard game. He had a 60-yard game.
Basically had 3, 3 productive yardage games that you want to see from your receiver. I think I'd say 5 to 6.
Okay. I mean,
which isn't great. Your number's not far off. It's just,
I would
maybe just put me one past my comfort zone.
Trey McBride is their number 1 receiver.
Yeah.
And that, even if Marvin has a good year, that may not change. Like Jalen Blair in the chat, other people are saying like Trey McBride, and I agree with this, could have like 1,400 yards this year. If the player we saw yesterday
in the last 2 years is 500-yard receiving games.
Right. Yeah. The player we saw yesterday is, who's guarding that player in the NFL? Like that was the kind of performance we had. So maybe we should be talking more about that. But like, you double cover Trey and you get single coverage on the 4th overall pick. Like, we expect to convert there.
Yeah.
We expect that to produce.
What do we know about Kyler and Trey? I think it's a proven commodity at this point. I mean, people want to see the touchdowns increase, and I think that's one of those things where the criticism is a bit unfair.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's going to happen. It's got to happen. It's going to happen. I think that Trey is just too versatile of a weapon in the red zone. He's too big. He's too talented. And I think now that they have, Petzing's got 30-plus games with Trey McBride at the tight end position, I think he knows how to really utilize them.
We got super chats that are just kind of fueling this conversation. So I do want to get to some of these because I think they're very top of mind. Usually we table a lot of this stuff, but I think like we can tailor the show around Kyler Murray because it's a subject people want to talk about. Joey Kennedy, $4.99. What kind of year does K1 need to finally get the fan base's full support? He has to make the playoffs. It does not, like, statistically, like, I don't think it's possible for Kyler Murray to have a big year statistically and this team not make the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
This team is too loaded defensively now. ESPN just had him like the second best D-line in the NFL or defensive tackle group. Somebody sent it to me. The special teams are terrific. The offensive line looks good. Like, they have to make the playoffs. And if they don't make the playoffs and people are talking about it like in a missed opportunity fashion, especially because how the NFC West looks, and there's no juggernauts anymore, he will get 100% of the blame. He will get 100%, and it's not fair because he's 28 years old, and he was like, his development was botched by the prior regime, and the roster was terrible. And so we're going to go through this year, and if the team is not succeeding, it always falls on the quarterback. That's why they make the most money, and that's why they're touted. There's only 32 of them performing well, maybe less, in the world to begin with. So I don't know. I think he's going to do it. I've been constantly supportive of that narrative. But like, again, here's another super chat, Sports Hero. Then I'll let my co-host respond. $5. Why doesn't Drew Terrell get blamed? He's a wide receiver coach, and players can't get separation, get over. Like, Marv's been open all of camp. But like, Marvin looks great, looks awesome, right? There's still miscommunication with he and Kyler Murray that there is no not cleaning that up. You have to do it. That's a non-starter.
And I think Drew Terrell, he's on record. When we talked to Drew Terrell at the end of last season, his big, we'll call it criticism of his top receivers in that room is he wanted them to be more like stereotypical receiver, like
right,
demand the ball, right? And some of the things like Marvin Harrison Jr. in his first year, a reserve guy, just not going to do that. And I think the more and more as his confidence has grown, and Kyler told us so much, he's more and more, he's a lot more comfortable than he was year one. And Michael Wilson, I think that there's a lot of confidence going into year three, even though I think, we got to find more ways to get him involved in the offense. But I find it tough to point, to cast blame on a wide receivers coach when I think you look at kind of the how you divvy it up.
Yeah.
I think Drew Terrell is a very minor player as far as who deserves some finger pointing here.
I want to get to another super chat here from our guy Brian, $10. Can I get both JV and Bo's opinion? Do you think Michael Wilson is a problem for this offense, or is this a K1 OC problem? My office friends and I and others I tell, so I blame Drew, to be honest. I don't think Michael Wilson bears any blame. I think Michael Wilson, unfortunately, is part of an offense that wants to run the football, and there are limited opportunities downfield. And he was the number one receiver 2 years ago, and then by default, we're like, we'll bring Marv in. Everybody's going to elevate. And really what Marv did is he took Michael Wilson's targets last year, and there were no new targets to be had in this passing game. So I put 0%, maybe 0% on a player like Michael Wilson, who had a great catch radius last year.
Yeah.
You have to blame the coaching staff and the quarterback if the passing game doesn't work this year.
Yeah. Look, and we talk about the ecosystem, we talk about the hierarchy, and I think everybody understands what it is. It's Trey, it's Marv, the run game. I think you've seen an emergence, at least to this point, of Zay Jones targets. And look, it's good. Like I think Zay Jones, like that happening is a positive for the offense. Like, because I feel confident, like in Michael Wilson, like when he's targeted with the football, he's gonna make a play. Like, just think about like his few opportunities. Like I think far too few opportunities last year, where he stepped up. Like the catch in Seattle. When Kyler Murray would look for him in the end zone. What do you have, 5 touchdowns last year?
Yeah.
I think that he took advantage of his opportunities. And I think that he's just going to have to be one of those guys that rises to the occasion in the few chances that he gets.
Yeah. 100% agree. And like Michael Wilson with Sean Payton yesterday would have loved his life, and then we're sitting there and I asked Bo, I said, and be honest, Bo, it's like how many receivers not named Marv and Trey caught a pass during 11 on 11 for the Cardinals yesterday. Greg Dortch had kind of a throwaway screen.
He had a couple.
Yeah. Down. Yeah. I mean, did Michael Wilson have a catch yesterday?
If he did, it would have been earlier in sevens. I know there's the way that they split it up. We saw like the first team defense was on another field, so you're trying to get a sense of how the defense was. So there was a couple plays we didn't see, but no, I mean the point is, if it happened, I didn't see it.
Yeah, it's Big Bird saying, "Can we talk about the lack of yak?" I mean, it's just there's no yak. There's
quite a bit of yak yesterday.
From Trey.
Yeah. Trey, I hadn't seen a player that wide open in NFL practice in a long time.
Yeah. I mean, the pieces are all there, man. They gotta put the puzzle together. And again,
so to get back to the original, like, I guess guess the top topic of the show,
Yeah.
confidence meter. Like if you're going on, a speedometer here, where are you at? Like,
Oh,
where's your needle pointing?
Oh man. Like I think the offensive passing game is going to look a little bit better than last year, but it's not going to be substantially improved.
Yeah.
I see too many of the kind of the same miscues. And again, this is not a knock on Kyler Murray alone. We finished the year last year at Rams, Seahawks twice, Carolina even, where it's like this doesn't look good. And then this offseason, they're like, nope, give us time, let's refine it. And they're still refining it. It needs, what's your confidence level? Do you think it's going to be dramatically improved, or is it going to be just like me thinking it's going to be a slight improvement from a year ago?
I think you're going to get maybe like a couple series where you're going to see what, I think a lot of people have been craving, and that's, rhythm targets for Marvin Harrison Jr. And with
that's
that,
definitely happening.
You should see an uptick offensively. But as far as confidence right now, just because you can't see it, you can't say, there it is, that's it. We look at the, speedometer here, or the meter, and there's the 50%. I'd say I'm at 65, 70%.
I said in the first segment, 6.5 out of 10. I'm right there with you. Yeah. Jalen asking, I wonder if this is the offense JG envisioned when he hired Petzing. It's hard to push back on how well they run the football. They can run the football on anybody now. Tip Ryman, Isaiah Adams, they're so good at it. They pushed the Broncos around. They were opening up big holes on counter and belly option yesterday to James Conner, and just this looks flipping great. Why can't we?
Let's hold that thought because we're late. And there's another point I want to make about that. Okay. Let's get to that on the other side as we continue on here. Football Friday, PHNX Cardinals.
Yeah, the discussion's getting hot here, and that's what we do, and that's what our friends at All Pro Shades Concepts tries to avoid, in the sense of a temperature increase for you in your patio shaded area at your home. Again, extend your outdoor living space with a custom fit awning, hundreds of designs, colors to choose from, motorize and retract with a remote control, all LED lighting. Again, 20 degrees cooler, go from 116 to 96. That's going to feel like 66 for some of us. They can also replace and fix most old or outdated patio shades and motorized awnings. Most trusted local shade company, voted #1 by ranking Arizona Patio Shades in 2024. Triple B, A+ rating with over 1,000 5-star reviews. Been in business for 20 years, folks. They started making window shades by hands for friends and family here in Phoenix. Now they're one of the largest installers of patio roll-down shades and motorized awnings in the Valley. Licensed, bonded, and insured. Call 623-204-1476. Visit allproshadesconcepts.com. Schedule your free estimate today.
I love that. We were out there. We escaped the hot sun here in the Valley of the Sun, and we went to Mile High City, and it was a little bit cooler according to the temperature, but it was just as hot out there. And we were baking a little bit during Cards joint practice with the Broncos. Started sweating, but man, I felt comfortable. And Matt Weldon skivvies, Johnny, it was unbelievable. These are the most comfortable briefs that I've ever had. It's the lightweight linen blend Cool Max technology, the breathable underwear that keeps you cool and comfy all day. And I was absolutely that, thanks to our friends over at Mac Weldon. I mean, Mac Weldon is a new partnership that we have. And when I heard that we were joining up with them, I loved it, because I've been kind of following their clothes for a long time, their apparel, and it's just got this great setup to where it's like, whether you're going to the gym or you're going to work or you're going out, you've got something from Mac Weldon that you're going to be able to wear proudly, and you're going to feel comfortable doing it. And it starts with the skivvies, and it goes all the way to, some good looking pants, some good looking shirts, some good looking tops from Mac Weldon. Do yourself a favor and take advantage of being a listener for PHNX and get 25% off your first order of $125 or more using the promo code PHNX. Go to MacWeldon.com, MacWeldon.com. Use the promo code PHNX for 20% off.
Everybody hammer that like button. We appreciate you guys joining us throughout the course of this week as we made our travels to Denver. We are now back in Phoenix. Hammer that like button. And let's stay on the positive note with the run game, because again, Look great. Look great all at camp. Trey Benson, I thought, looked better than he did the prior week against Kansas City. Looked good. Ran hard against the Broncos yesterday. James Conner didn't look like he's aged at all. Isaiah Adams looks fantastic. Like, and I think that's part of the frustration with the passing game is like, you can run it on anybody. Use that to your advantage. Play action. Work Kyler Murray off the boot a little bit. Like that should all benefit you immensely. And they're, still trying to figure that out.
Yeah, you should be able to, when you can establish the run like that, you should reap the benefits of what the defense has to do to combat that. But I will say, like, you're watching counter production from the Cardinals run game. Like when Zach Allen was a member of the Cardinals defensive line, it was him and JJ Watt. Like Matt Burke, their defensive line coach, they didn't even like practice against counter because teams didn't run counter against Zach Allen and JJ. Zach Allen was insane. He was out there yesterday. Cardinals were running the football. They were running, their usual run offense, and they were doing it with at a high level of success. So, like, I do like that from both offense and the defense. Like, as much as we wanted to see Will Johnson ball out, Max Melton show that he's taking a step in his second season, and you wanted to see the pass defense play and perform a little bit better against Bo Nix, who had a lot of open options downfield. The run defense was suffocating. Calais Campbell, Mac Wilson Sr. came away, feeling pretty good about how they defended the run. And I think you should feel really confident about how they're able to run the football. But I've said this, if the run struggles tomorrow, and if you look at the performance from the preseason opener, you didn't see the big gaudy numbers that you're used to seeing outside of, third or fourth, fifth string. I still have, a big amount of confidence that they're going to be able to run the football come week one against the New Orleans Saints and going forward.
The question, though, becomes when you're not playing the Saints and last year when you're not playing the Jets and the Bears. I mean, remember what did the Cardinals put up on the Jets last year? Like 200 yards rushing? When you're not playing these ass teams and you have to play real teams and they have great front sevens and maybe they load the box right. Like, can the Cardinals then win a game when they have to throw 30 or 40 attempts? Again, I go back to my example for everybody. Go back and look at the box score at Seattle last year. The Cardinals went out of the bye. They were healthy coming out of the bye. They had all their mojo. They averaged under 30, 40 yards rushing for that day. Trey Benson was their leading rusher for 18 yards. And what happened that day? The offense was terrible. They scored 6 points. When that happens, if that's the formula for the good teams, hell, Seattle's going to try to play you that same way this year. Can you make the plays? Can Drew and Kyler and Marvin and Trey McBride get together and say, we're going to make our stand. We're going to make explosive plays in the passing game. You cannot. This is not high school football where, you just overpower people with your offensive line. This is not Army, Navy. I love the run game. I've been starved for it my entire life as a fan of this franchise. I'm happy it's here. But do not let it overtake the mindset that you have to be able to throw the football downfield against good teams. I mean, not to bring up this subject again, Bo, when was the last time you've been at practice and they have been able to complete a post route where the player was streaking downfield, catch it in stride, run for a touchdown? I mean, I don't remember last time that's happened.
I mean, I know Jacoby hit Xavier Weaver early in camp, but no, I mean, it's too few and far between. It's too, I think, still a big part of modern day NFL offenses. You see it, across the league every Sunday you watch, and you want that for yourself, right? You absolutely want that for yourself. What do you want to see? What do you need to see from Arizona Cardinals that are playing tomorrow in preseason week 2? Who's kind of under a microscope? Who can do good for themselves and who can damage their opportunity of making this team against the Broncos? We're going to break that down coming up next. PHNX Cardinals.
But first, I'm going to tell you about our friends at Pure Edibles. Pure Edibles founded in Arizona. They got 130 dispensaries statewide. They're my go-to. They should be yours. Again, they're not covered in sugar like a lot of the competitors. They're a full-fledged candy company offering gummies, kicks, their version of Starburst, chews, hard candies. And this is the best part. You want to know what you're taking. You want to know what you're putting inside your body. Pure Effects are clearly listed on every tin, so you know exactly what you're getting. They offer gummies for sleep support as well as candies with uplifting effects derived from unique cannabinoids such as CBN, CBG, CBD with marijuana derived from THC. They were created in Flagstaff. And again, they're the home of Pure Edibles and now are made here in sunny Phoenix, Arizona. Pure gummies are designed to be ripped in half or bit, making them easily shareable or easy to dial in your exact dose. Go find yourself some Pure Edible products for one of over 130 dispensaries, 130 across Arizona. Get Pure Edibles today.
Love that. Love that we were on the go, and I had no qualms, no problems using my Mountain America Credit Union debit card or banking at all, because MACU, they opened in the 1930s, 100 branches across Arizona, Utah, Idaho, Montana, and Nevada. Over 1.2 million users across the West. Why don't you become one of those as well? We loved Mountain America Credit Union. They've got the My Style checking account that's for your lifestyle. It's going to help you enjoy restaurant deals, mobile phone protection, telehealth access, identity protection. How about loan rate discounts and offers on travel and events and so much more? Make My Style your lifestyle. Mountain America Credit Union. Visit macu.com. That's macu.com/mystyle to apply and check out what perk they have for you. Memberships required based on eligibility. Some benefits require no cost registration activation. Terms and conditions and exclusions apply. Check them out right now. That's macu.com/mystyle to apply.
Moving ahead and away from the starters, at least temporarily, the Arizona Cardinals will play a game on Saturday. We're going to cover it fully. We'll have our pregame show. Bo and I will be remote tomorrow as we move studios. We'll be back in office in just a couple of weeks, but pregame tomorrow. And then we'll do something maybe a little bit different, halftime and a watch along in the second half. But we got to get a first half, and we got to get to the players, Bo, that are potentially, on the bubble for this team. Looking ahead to the cut down to 53, where do we begin?
Yeah, I mean, let's just kind of take a look, an overall preview, and we'll get into that. What to watch. I think the biggest thing, Johnny, that you can kind of start to figure out who's ahead of who here on the roster is like Jonathan Gannon via Sean Payton is in the Broncos and the Cardinals are not going to play their starters, but who are they viewing as like definitive starters? Who are they viewing as guys who are definitively going to have significant roles on this team that we don't need to see them play really anymore in the preseason? So like you can just kind of process of elimination. He's not playing. Okay, he's good. This guy, he's playing, so they got to see more from him. Or we want to look at the guys who are really under the gun to perform, or are we looking at the guys who I think have most to gain here?
Yeah, I look at tomorrow as an opportunity for not only people to make this roster, but to jump over and define some roles. Like Xavier Weaver, when does he warrant an expanded role in this offense given the lack of speed vertically? I think another strong performance, we're having a different conversation. I think Elijah Simmons, Justin Jones, Bilal Nichols are not practicing. They're nowhere to be found, right? Does Elijah Simmons, with a big performance against a good offensive line for Denver, albeit their backups, force the issue for Monty Ossenford and company? And then I look at somebody like, Keaton Crawford. Keaton Crawford, interception last week against Kansas City, physical on special teams. It's like, could the Cardinals go heavy at safety? Could they sacrifice an off-ball linebacker like we talked about, potentially Owen Papo? Xavier Thomas. Does Xavier Thomas become, a trade piece for the Arizona Cardinals? Maybe they get a swing tackle. Maybe they get additional depth up front. A lot of that is interesting for me because like this team is so they've bolstered their depth dramatically at a bunch of spots that we thought was impossible for them to do in a single offseason. Now a lot of these guys are carryovers. They're quality players that would get picked up. Is there a trade market that emerges for Ossenford that's worth pursuing? Yeah,
XT gives me big time CT Cameron Thomas vibes.
Yeah,
I think he had a great performance last year. Last week, and last year he flashed, right? But I think he's a guy that he's got his fastball, and then his it does a whole lot of other pitches. Jonathan Gannon, the coaching staff, they really like to use like the pitching repertoire kind of analogy there. So Xavier Weaver, I think can I don't think there's his roster spots in jeopardy by any means, but that's why I think he's one of those guys that has more to gain. Like, can he be another go-to guy on a series like he was last week, where he can maybe earn himself some more packages, where he can earn himself more playing time and become like a Robert Taylor Demerson, where it's like can't keep him off the field because of his skill set and what he could bring to those offense potentially. I completely agree with you with Elijah Simmons. I think that he's a guy that can really kind of put himself in the eyes of this coaching staff as somebody that they've got to roster, and they can't afford to try to sneak onto the practice squad.
Let's take a look at some of the players that could be playing for their jobs as we continue to fight for the final 53. Gannon alluded to it yesterday, Bo. Told us at the podium, it's like time's running out for some people. Are these the people? Keitrell Clark, uphill battle, even with the loss of Sean Murphy-Bunting. Will Johnson. I mean, Denzel Burke, who I thought had a good day yesterday. Of all the corners that I watched, Denzel Burke, at least against the backups for the Broncos, looked the most polished. And so he's going to be on this team.
I think Darren he can gain. I think those guys that can only gain. Like I think Denzel Burke is a roster guy. I think he can gain himself opportunities like in the regular season with elevated play tomorrow.
Keitrell Clark needs to perform. And then Elijah Jones, like what would they cut a third rounder from a year ago? I don't think so, especially after his injury. I think for him, it's like he will be the Cardinals' sixth corner this year by default. And you try to build his confidence and play him on special teams and get the best. Yeah, you got the best defensive back coach in the NFL as his head coach. And then if you go in the next offseason and he's underperforming and you don't like what you see, then you just you cut ties or you trade him for pennies on the dollar. But I think just because of his draft stock, Bo, he's going to make this roster.
Yeah, I agree. Like relegated to special teams, and can he play himself into some sort of defensive role? I don't know if that's this season or is it a longer play. But you're right. Like where he was drafted, I think gives him an opportunity. But like as far as us saying he must perform, I think it's just to be even in the conversation to get some reps outside of like teams going forward. But then like Hayden Connor, Clayton Tune, I think these are two guys, Tune a fifth rounder a couple of years ago, Connor a sixth rounder out of Texas this past draft. These are guys who are playing to be a part of this organization. And I think, Clayton Tune, as much as there was a lot of belief and confidence in him over the last couple of years, like, is there a ceiling that we've hit here? Can he put together a good preseason performance to merit like, hey, we want him to be a part of the organization. We want him to be a part of the practice squad, and be like our third string emergency quarterback. And then Hayden Connor is like, is this somebody we can mold? Is this guy like, is there clay there that's moldable for us to keep, on the practice squad and develop going forward?
I love this question from Alec. I was going to bring it up. Thank you, Noah. Do you think Josh Fryer has a better chance to make the team than Hayden Connor? 100%. Josh Fryer plays a more valuable position. His position coach was his position coach at the collegiate level. Fryer looked better last week than Christian Jones. That's a sleeper candidate. I think Christian Jones not playing because of a knee. Josh Fryer is going to play a hell of a lot tomorrow night. It could be the Josh Fryer show for 2 or 3 quarters. If he puts good tape on, even as an undrafted player, is that somebody you want to – some people are going to look and say, oh, this kid's a rookie and he played tackle Ohio State and he had a good preseason. Yoink, we'll take him, Cardinals. Like the Niners just lost their swing tackle for the year and Andre Dillard. Like teams are starving for tackles. So you develop him on the roster behind Kelvin Beachum. I wouldn't hate that.
No, it's not the worst thing. That's for sure. And with Christian Jones going to miss some time with a knee, there isn't a bigger opportunity, I think, for Josh Fryer to really kind of make a name for himself. And, his position coach, coming to the organization the same time as he did from Ohio State, Justin Fry. It's going to be big for a guy like for Fryer. Can he put together a good performance against pretty deep defensive unit in the Broncos, regardless that their starters aren't playing?
Isn't that funny? You just draft players and sign players from Ohio State, and it's like, hey, your floor's pretty high. We might want to keep you around. It's funny how that works. This works like this. We're going into overtime. Our last weekday show of the week. Hammer that like button. Become a diehard. Go PHNX.com. Give a shout out to our fabulous peers at PHNX Sports moving our offices today as Bo and I traveled back with Noah from Denver So we got to escape the rigors of moving, but we appreciate all of our peers' leadership that's holding down the fort, and I can't wait to see them again. Bo and I will be remote tomorrow, but we will have pre and post game for everybody to look forward to. Anything else you want to hit on before we dive into these super chats, my guy?
I mean, do we want to hit any of these things we saw from Pro Football Talk or Connor Orr? Do we say
Let's
that?
get the Connor Orr thing up. Walk us through this nightmare.
And it's nothing short of that. We were alerted to this. Connor Orr, who's he made some bold predictions, and I think he had 100 bold predictions this offseason going into this season for the NFL 2025 slate. And he had one, I think, what he said is this is the end for Kyler Murray. But then he also said, Marvin Harrison Jr. and Trey McBride were going to perform. So it was kind of like talking out of both sides of his mouth. But then he dropped this, where he predicted every game for every team on the schedule this upcoming season. He's got the Niners going 11-6. He's got the Rams going 10-7. He's got the Seahawks going 9-8. And pulling up the rear here in the NFC West, he's got the Cardinals going 6-11 and losing week 1 to a team he predicted to win 3 games this season in New Orleans Saints. This is his write-up on the Cardinals, John. He says, as I mentioned, I'm ready to get waxed for this one. Everything's pointing up for the Cardinals. This roster is being built the correct way, and all the key tentpole positions are in place. This is the year for takeoff, unless it simply isn't. This happens from time to time, and a reminder that there's not always a logical ascent pattern, especially when the rest of the division is a collection of absolute stalwart head coaches. Not to say John Gannon is not. That's why many Arizona wins here are quality wins. They are just a little few and far between.
Not a lot of sense, Connor. You're not making much sense, my guy. It's a really bad take. Cardinals have the talent to win 12 games this year. For them to win 6 games, there would have to be a collapse in culture.
The Titans and the Saints.
There's no coming back from losing to the Saints.
Why even give them a loss on their bye week? It just makes no sense. It really doesn't. Like, Saints are going to be terrible. They're going to lose. 14 games this year, but they're going to beat the Cardinals, who I think are solid at all your big key premium positions. Like they're on the rise. It's undoubted. Like there's no doubt about it. But hey, sometimes it doesn't work that way, and I've picked this team to have to wear that one in my write-up. It's just not fair to Cardinals fans. It's not a fair representation of what Jonathan Gannon and Monty Ossenford have done last couple seasons.
I don't want to spend too much time on that Joker's prediction because I think it's not very good. But I think the Cardinals are in a position to swing the pendulum more than any team in the NFL, given the perception of Kyler Murray from some of these national reporters and writers. And again, we were critical earlier in the show. That doesn't mean we don't believe in K1. I think he can turn it up and turn it on, when the season begins. If Kyler Murray plays awesome this year and it has a Baker Mayfield-like resurgence, you couple that with people start paying attention to how good the Cardinals roster is, you're going to go from people thinking this is a bottom team with, no acumen to speak on to, the Cardinals could win the Super Bowl. The Cardinals could get to the NFC Championship game. It's all about the perception of your quarterback. And right now, fair or not, people are they have seen 6 years of Kyler Murray and they've drawn their own conclusions. They didn't know about the botched development. They ignored the injury and all that. And yeah, read the article. People like the Cardinal roster and their skill players and Jonathan Gannon. It's like they are pointing the finger at the quarterback. And again, I don't think you can make that evaluation until the end of the year. If we're sitting here at the end of the year and they underperform, it's going to be because they didn't get good high level play from K1. But on the flip side, if he plays well, the ceiling is very high. Unlike some teams where you can have Joe Burrow play like an MVP last year and flip and miss the playoffs,
Yeah, if they do lose week 1 to the Saints, there is going to be panic on the shelf. We will say, hey, are they a 6-11 team? But you'd be hard pressed to find a team with less going for itself than the Saints going into the 2025 season.
They're like 2023 Cardinal bad.
Yeah.
Let's get to your super chats here. Bo 199. Who's unluckier, JV Sports Bets or Rondell Moore?
I'll say Jay's sports bets just brutal. You feel for a guy like Rondell Moore because he wants to. We talked to him one Super Bowl. He wants to be healthy. He wants to buck that often injured label he's got, and poor guy is now missing back-to-back full seasons with just catastrophic injuries. Our heart goes out to a guy like Rondell Moore.
I love Rondell as a person. He's unfortunately never been healthy since coming into the league. And I, Greg, have been lucky. I won my parlay bet last week. So suck it, Greg. No, we love you, my guy. Thanks for the super chat. Baxter, $14.99 Australian dollars. First super chat with the Burn game. Thank you, Baxter. Appreciate you. Thanks for being a friend of the show. That's so nice.
We appreciate that. Always love to see those who watch the show and we don't. We encourage people participating, but at the same time, we understand people like to just watch, listen, and but when you chime in and you it's as generous as $14.99. Very thankful, very grateful for you, Baxter, and glad to have you officially in the Bird Gang.
I love this super chat. Josh, another friend of the program, $1.99 over under Tip Ryman caused defensive injuries. I'm going to do you one better. Over under Tip Ryman injures more people than he does catches passes this year for the Cardinals. I think it's close. I think it could be a push. He had 6 catches last year. I think he's putting at least 6 people on the ground, hurting themselves this fall for sure.
But he made a catch. He hurt somebody in the first preseason game. So
those cancel each other out.
You're gonna sweat that one out no matter which way you go. But yeah, maybe we just have like a tip meter, like how often he just like lays the lumber, man. I mean, he's really making his presence known, and the only way he can, it's physicality, violence.
If the Cardinals passing game doesn't take off this year and they have to win a certain style of play, that's going to be their bread and butter. And so, I get it. If that's what they want to do, he is a load, and he was mauling people against the Broncos yesterday. Yeah. He is the enforcer of the team. Slowly he blew somebody up on special teams and then got in the face of 3 or 4 Bronco, special teamers. First of all, he towers over everybody. I will never love the value, but he is quickly becoming somebody who you do not want to F with, a fan favorite, and somebody you put him with Paris and Isaiah Adams and yelled at Froholt. That's scary. Yeah. It's a scary front for people to have to face.
Yeah, you always have love for the enforcers out there, guys that are doing the dirty work, especially when it's from such a physical standpoint like Tip. Let's keep it going.
Yep. Charlie, very generous, $19.99, $20 super chat. Hey, boys, just got out of BMT. Haven't been following for the past few months. How are the Cards doing? What's BMT? I'm not sure what that is.
Don't know. Going through all the acronyms I can think of.
Well, I hope regardless, Charlie, you're doing well. Cards are doing well.
Yeah, hopefully you're doing great, and glad to have you back. And the expectations that this is a playoff team. And
I think I've got the abbreviation. So typically BMT means either a bone marrow transplant or or maybe not a Bachelor of Medical Technology. You'd still be able maybe to tune in. But if you just had a bone marrow transplant, Charlie, number one, we do not need your money. We appreciate
military training.
Maybe.
Is that what it could be? Yeah.
All good things. Noah's bone marrow transplant, military. Regardless, Charlie, we're happy you're back with us, my guy. Cardinals are doing well. They should win a lot of games this year.
Yeah. Get fired up. Get fired up. So thank you, Charlie. We appreciate that generous super chat. Hope you're doing great. Great to have you back. Keeping it going here with the super chats.
Jonathan Castro, $4.99. This is a fun question. If Jordan Birch has another good showing, could we see him threaten Browning for a starting spot? He was working with the ones yesterday and he looks good. He physically looks comfortable. He's made a huge jump, even the last 2 weeks since camp started, Bo. I think he's made leaps and bounds strides as somebody that if he looks like he does again, he's going to force himself into the starting lineup. sooner rather than later, for sure.
He's a specimen, and I think like the answer is like he's going to force the issue for playing time, and I think people need to kind of like change how they view the defensive front seven positions, like starter versus backup, because they got a rotation up front, on the line that's 5 deep, and they've got a rotation from the outside linebackers, your pass rushers that Jordan Birch could firmly be a part of just by what he's shown as a 3rd round pick out of Oregon early on in his professional career. So and we don't know when BJ Ojulari is going to be available again. He remains on PUP, and I haven't seen or heard anything that would say that that's going to change anytime soon.
Yeah, wouldn't expect BJ back for a little bit. Kyler Plummer, $5. I don't want style points. I just want more points than the opponent. Okay. I'm sure that's what's being preached by this coaching staff. With the improvements defensively and the softer schedule and the uptick in production with Marv, are those 3 elements alone enough to get you from 8 wins to 11 wins? Can that flip the script for 3 games? It might be able to. If this defense is as good as we think it is, even with an off day yesterday, and Marv has 1,200 yards, and the schedule's much easier than last year, can you find 3 more wins? I think you can. I think overwhelmingly you can. I think what Kyler Plummer is outlining here is what, especially you're going to get a response from like Gannon, from his coaching staff, from people within the organization. Like, hell yeah, that's what we're striving to do. Play winning football and get to the final whistle where, we outscored the opponent onto another dub. And that's the most important part, and style points don't matter. Like, are you going to appease the Twitter mob? No, like that's where style points matter. But like, as far as like Gannon and these guys, they know that it's tough week in and week out to leave the game that you're playing with a dub, and they'll take that. And I think that this team is built to win games like that. Let's get to the next super chat here. This is coming from Baxter again, $7.99 Australia. If the offense doesn't improve, but the Cards make the playoffs, do they keep Petzing? Probably. I doubt you're firing a coordinator from a playoff team. I think I can't imagine that they get to the playoffs if the offense doesn't improve. It's just. I'm left speechless. If they get to 10, 11 wins and they're in the wild card round, maybe like if the offense looks bad against a good team and it's like Kingsbury-esque.
Defense has to be special. Like, it has to be special in order for that to happen. Like, especially when you look at the end of their schedule and how it lines up, you have to be able to score points. And, if that's the group that you can definitively say fell short, I agree. I think the playoffs is you're left just on the outside looking in for another year. And then that's where, especially after year 3, people are going to look for answers. They're going to search for answers.
That's the best part about this year, is the team is projected to be good. We don't need superhero performances, and we're not going to sit here and talk about what ifs and if this happens. Like, nope, got to make the playoffs. And if it doesn't look well, doesn't look right, then they're going to make changes. And that's how it should be. Like, you got to perform. Easy money Chubbs, $1.99. They should have fired Petzing. I think we'll know the answer to, like, should they have made significant offensive changes by November, December. And easy money Chubbs, you go watch our shows from last January, and we were very much on the record, like, you got to add a speed receiver, maybe bring in a new backup, right? What's going on with Drew? He's getting bear interviews. Like, nobody felt comfortable about this offense in January. And I think that's the toughest part about this preseason, is we get all the fluff and the feels of the offseason, right? And we feel good about Marv. He's put on weight, and Kyler looks good in workouts. And then we get back to some real tangible football, albeit practice football. And it's like, we're still missing something here. That's where the fan base is right now. And I understand that. I'm right there with you guys.
Yeah. Keeping it going, Tony B. This is very nice. I apologize. My internet has become a charity, but look, it was rough to start from what I've collected, and I'm going to get it ironed out for tomorrow's show during the game. Another great show on a football Friday. Excited for tomorrow's game, for the season to start. Use the super chat to fit those internet. Loving the PHNX community so far. Tony, we're pumped that you're a part of this thing. And yes, we'll make sure that we get stronger internet connection here at Casa de Brack.
Listen, I've had bad internet. I've also had smoke alarms go off. Listen, it's just times are tough. But let me just give a shout out to my co-host here. We just got out of a travel day, and our physical studios being revamped, and he's doing a home office. So we will make sure that everything is to everybody's liking, like it normally is. So hammer that like button. But yeah, it's good to be back in Phoenix.
It is. It's good to be home, and we'll get to watch tomorrow's preseason game. We'll start from the comfort of our own homes, and then we're going to be able to talk about it with all you fine people. Pre-game show tomorrow, Johnny. What is it? 6:00, and then kickoff at 6:30. And then we might be a little early with the pre-game show, so make sure you're following along at PHNX_Cardinal, Johnny or myself, and we'll let you know when we're going to go live, because without the starters playing and getting a whole long look at these backups, there's a good chance, maybe fourth quarter we're firing up the mics and really kind of talking about already transpired the important stuff.
Yeah, we might do pregame. We will do a pregame at 6. Might do a halftime and then start our postgame early so we can get everybody's thoughts, super chats, and ramp it up. With all due respect to Clayton Tune, that might be a little bit of a watch along postgame. Our guy Shaft, $5. Give the guys an update on the Fantasy Football League, and if you haven't heard back from me, who should they contact? I have all the confidence in this team. Thank you for that, Shaft. So Shaft is the go-to for our diehard league. We have been working with him to get his Discord access revamped and updated. So again, contact Shaft. I'm going to put this out here for Shaft. He is at AZSCHAF on Twitter. Again, at AZ. I'll put it in the chat here. So if you want to DM him directly, if you're a diehard, we're going to get you in the diehard league. But this is Shaft's contact information. DM him on Twitter. And again, we got some time. Our draft party isn't for a couple more weeks on August 28th, which of course is our Thursday. And speaking of that, come hang with us. Gila River Resorts and Casinos Wild Horse Pass Bowl.
It's going to be an epic day. It starts at 4:30. It goes until probably past 9:10. Mm-hmm. So come join us. Yeah, that's a 4:30 live show. Then we got our live, not for broadcast season preview, like a town hall. Come hang out and talk about this team going into 2025. We'll know the roster. We'll know, the players that we're breaking down, and we're really starting to get down the brass tacks as far as the 2025 season. And then it's our fantasy football draft, PHNX Fantasy League, plus your diehard fantasy draft is happening on location as well. So come join us for any or all of these events. August 28th, that's Thursday, the Upper Deck Kitchen and Bar at Gila River Resorts and Casinos at Wild Horse Pass.
Everybody hit that like button, subscribe to PHNX Sports here on YouTube. Big week, big thank you to our friends at DNVR Sports, the Denver Broncos, and we're back with full coverage. Preseason week 2 kicks off tomorrow. We'll be there for Bo. Noah, I'm Johnny. We'll see you Saturday.
We all silly like the mayor.